Would you please rise as we call on Pastor Eric Ugarud, Cornerstone Church, for our invocation.
Would you pray with me? Father, we thank you for this beautiful summer that we've had here. We thank you for how green everything is. And I pray that it would stand as a reminder for all of us of how you are the giver of life. God, we thank you for this beautiful city that we have to live in. I thank you for these public servants here who are giving of their time to serve. And we pray, God, that everyone in this room would be seeking you for wisdom. We thank you that you are the God who gives wisdom, and we pray for wisdom from you as we make important decisions, even tonight, about how things will go here. So God, we pray for peace and guidance. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll call this August 15, 2016 City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Fish.
Here.
Artisan.
Here.
Curley.
Here.
Speedo.
Here.
Hicks.
Here.
Pepper.
Here.
Shires missing and Rachel.
Here.
We have a quorum. Next item is approval of the agenda, and we will have one addition. Would you care to
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Your Honor.
outline that?
Yep. We need to add under new business at the end, resolution authorizing the city administrator and the mayor to sign a notice to terminate purchase agreement on the dairy property due to failure to satisfy the contingencies within the purchase agreement.
Any other additions? Would someone offer a motion? Scott? Jim? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign, opposed, same sign, motion is carried. The agenda is approved. Under D, public hearings. This evening, we'll have a public hearing for Wellhead Protection Plan, Part 2, and hopefully a subsequent resolution. Brian Ybarra.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. Just want to give you a brief history of where we're at with this Wellhead Protection Part 2 plan. In November 2012, the city was notified by the Minnesota Department of Health that the city would need to begin preparation of a wellhead protection plan. The city, as a public water supply owner, is required by the state to provide a wellhead protection plan for its municipal well. Part 1 of the plan was to analyze the aquifer and delineate the boundaries of the drinking water supply management area, as well assess the well and aquifer vulnerability. This process has been completed as a Part 1 of the Wellhead Protection Plan and was approved by the Minnesota Department of Health in 2015. The next phase of this process is Phase 2. We consider this the implementation phase of the Wellhead Protection Plan. Marilyn Byerly of Byerly Water Services was retained by the city to complete this Part 2 of the Wellhead Protection Plan. Now, if I may, I'd like to turn it over to Marilyn here to give you a little background in regards to this program.
Thank you.
Good evening, Your Honor, council members. Good evening. I have been working with the city for the past year on developing the implementation strategies for this wellhead plan. And what I'd like to cover for you tonight is just a definition of what these boundaries are on the map that you have in front of you and is also on the wall, and then some of the strategies that we're going to be looking at implementing in the next 10 years. When you look at this map, you see all these different keys, and there are, the first one, the red boundary, is the ERA. That is considered the emergency response area. That is a 1-year time of travel that it takes groundwater to travel from that point to the wells. The second one The darker blue is the wellhead protection area, and that is the area that delineation determined is the area that will affect your wells over a 10-year period of time. The 10-year time of travel, the lighter blue, that's kind of a circle, that area is your groundwater time of travel. It takes 10 years for groundwater to reach your city wells. The inner well management zone is that small hatched area. That's just a 200-foot boundary that has special protections. Then we're looking at the shaded kind of peach area. That is your groundwater protection area. That's a moderate vulnerability, and that is the groundwater that can reach your well in 10 years. In your case, they expanded the area to the green area, and that is a surface water vulnerability area. That means anything that runs off from that area will run into the groundwater protection area. So they felt that needed protective measures also. So there are different things we need to protect based on what's happening in there. And the dots on the map are the potential contaminant sources, which are something that we plan to deal with education and or incentives working with West Otter Tail and East Otter Tail Soil and Water Conservation Districts. The main strategies that we're looking at in this plan are grant funding to help with implementation with Otter Tail County and the Soil and Water Conservation Districts. They're doing their geologic survey. We'll be able to write a grant, and the Department of Health will give us $10,000 to pass through to the county to help with that. Some of the other things, funding the backup generator that you're going to purchase anyway. We've got it in there for wiring and funding for purchase and funding for installation. So 3 different $10,000 grants that would be available to the city. Pretty much anything we have in here for implementation has grant dollars attached to it so that you would be eligible to receive partial, if not all, funding for those strategies. One of the things that we're looking at probably about 8 years out is doing a surface water management plan. You really only receive about 10 to 30%, depending on the time of year, of your water from the groundwater, and the rest comes from the river. And while that's not required by the Department of Health, they would like to see a surface water management plan. And we did some discussion and agreed to put it in only with the caveat that it would be 100% funded by grant dollars if it is something that we would do, and it would be about 8 years out. So that is in there, and it's an opportunity actually, because it will eventually be mandated. And it's an opportunity. That's the reason it's in there. Any ordinance updates that the city deems necessary to help with this plan would also be fundable by grants. So otherwise, the main information in there is education and incentive. Any questions about this or any concerns?
Anyone, Rod?
Yeah, one of the questions I had is on the 10-year figures and the amount of water that would reach, a certain area in 10 or in 1 year, 10 years, judging from the different, geographic formations in this area. How does one make such a statement of, incremental movement based on the gravel and the different kinds of substrata we have here?
They actually do pumping tests where they determine how fast water moves based on the volume that they're pulling out. This is something that hydrogeologists have completed in the Part 1 phase of the plan, so it comes to us already complete.
Specific to this area, they've already done that.
It is specific to this area. There's a part in here where they are asking the city to pull some water samples and to assist them in monitoring to help determine any new problems that might come and help them to maybe do a better job next time, because they're always looking at better models and it's always a little bit tighter each time they redo it. So in 10 years, they're going to be looking at new information.
Okay.
So the obligation of the city would be just to pull the samples. The Department of Health would run them and analyze them.
Your Honor, you mentioned opportunity. Could you elaborate more on that? It's going to be mandated, you said, eventually.
That's my opinion, and I sit on a committee that is looking at setting guidelines for doing surface water management plans. I'm currently working for the cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and St. Cloud. They formed a joint powers, the three that pull their drinking water from the river, and I have written their management plan. So I'm real familiar with the surface water work that the Department of Health is doing, and they're not real sure themselves what they want to do, and I know they're working on new guidance, but they have talked about making it a requirement. So.
I guess the reason I asked specifically I was at a future cities conference prior to the Minnesota cities meeting, and they mentioned a couple cities that are using the surface water as an opportunity, not a problem, where they have created catch basins and then they're actually watering developments from that instead of using the cost of treating city water and then watering lawns. They're using these lagoons to water lawns and things. They're saying that that's very cost effective, and the future will be much more so.
So you're talking about in our surface water runoff area up there?
In the larger sense.
Right, and there are strategies in here to do things like rain gardens, things that were recommended by the Soil and Water Conservation District in the county, things that they can help fund and that they have shown will have an impact on removing sediment and nutrients from the lakes here, which could affect the groundwater. There is questionable connectivity between the lake and the groundwater, and that's one of the things they're going to study more thoroughly over the next 10 years.
Wayne?
Mayor, could you talk a little bit about the incentive programs or the education programs, just some specific examples of the sorts of things, like options that we might want to look at?
Okay, one of the options on there is to make a specific wellhead protection page on your city website, and you would, it would be grant eligible to pay a consultant to come in and do that, but it would have different things about water conservation, about your well, and how you can better protect your well. Another thing is the septic systems that are in that surface water area are also something that we would be looking at adding information. We have a packet that will go out to every septic system owner that talks to them about how to better manage it. Another thing is Department of Health will fund 100% to seal wells that are located in this area. So there'll be sort of a strategy to get the information out to people that live in the wellhead area that if they do have a well and they'd like it sealed, we can seal it free. The other thing is there's a 4th grade class that Rural Water sends a packet to the 4th graders, and they have a contest about posters about water conservation and water use. There's just different strategies that kind of get the word out there.
Sure. And is there like a toolbox or something that like Brian would have access to?
There
where
is,
he could
yes.
kind of look at things from a staff level and
Yeah, the Minnesota Rural Water Association has a website with a lot of different brochures that you can just fill in the blanks, and also Department of Health has some, but Rural Waters is a little bit better.
Okay, thank you.
So.
Other questions?
To follow up a
Here.
little bit with what Rod was talking about the surface water, you said 8 years, within 8 years, or as far as the study goes on that, or then we would have grant dollars available for that. Is that something you see in the middle of this 8 years or towards the end of those 8 years? And the reason I ask is I'm wondering if there's a time frame that then expires that you do this study on, and then now the state then makes it mandatory. Is there a window in there that would be better to have it towards the end of this 8 years, or?
No. Once it's
Doesn't
in your
matter.
approved plan, and the plan is for 10 years, I have it slated for 8 years out, but you can do it any time really and make application. It's once it's in your plan and it's approved, it's grant fundable because the state also approves this plan. And once they approve it, they're saying, yes, we agree that is grant fundable. So they generally don't let you put things in there that they aren't agreeable to fund.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Anthony?
On the map, obviously, it's got a couple of, things like leak sites and potential contamination sites. Is there something that will then go around to try to identify whether they are sites of risk?
The leak sites are really determined by the Pollution Control Agency, and they've actually been mitigated already.
Right.
But they're on there because the Department of Health wants to have them carried forward so we don't lose track of them. The tank sites are something that we will send information to the owners of the tanks saying you are in a drinking water protection area, and if you're interested in something like better management of your tank, let us know. But it's something the Pollution Control Agency regulates. It's not under the city's regulatory authority at all. So really what we can do is information. And
So they could be, for example, then they could be like a home heating tank, heating
no,
oil.
these are buried underground like,
So they would be double wall tanks then?
right.
Right. So
And
they
any
would-
above ground tanks would have to be of a certain size. I think it's 1,200 gallon, I can't, 1,000 to 1,200 gallons, yeah. So,
Ron?
Just on the acronyms, could you just enlighten us again? PWSS was,
public water supply system, that's your public water well. That's that big dot right in the middle of the hatched area. And the hatched area is your inner wellhead management zone, which is just 200 feet out.
okay. And all the wells that are between Wright Lake and the river, are those on Otter Tail property, or are those private wells, or?
Those are pretty much monitoring wells that Otter Tail Power manages, and they have a mitigation plan in place with the Pollution Control Agency regarding that old dump site, and that's where all of this is just they're monitoring the groundwater themselves. They're removing the ash from those pits and replacing them outside of our area and into lined permitted areas. So that is all on here, but it's really their mitigation plan. It's not something that the city would have anything to do with. And they have been sealing the wells as they no longer need them. They have those wells there at the request of the Pollution Control Agency.
And IWMZ? Is that it?
Inner wellhead management zone. That's a 200-foot buffer around the wells.
Mhm.
And in that area, we really wouldn't want to see any tanks or anything because that's, right within the protected boundary of the wells.
And the SSTS, what was that again?
Those are subsurface sewage treatment systems. So those are septic systems, and they're located in your overland area that is outside of city limits, obviously, if they have a septic system.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Brian, our obligation then is to hold a public hearing?
Yes, correct. Based on it, because the wellhead part 2 has been published for 60 days, and we just open up for comments and everything too as well, and answer those.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if the council doesn't have any other questions, then I will open it up to the public.
Thanks, Marilyn.
You're welcome.
Anyone wishing to comment, please come forward, identify yourself, and give us your address, and make your comments. There being none, we'll close the hearing, and we will then need a resolution to approve the city's wellhead protection plan.
Offer that, Your Honor.
Justin, thank you.
Second.
Wayne, thank you. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Early.
Yes.
Speedo.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Everett.
Yes.
Rachels.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. And thank you very much. We learned a great deal.
Thank you.
There are no bids to award this evening. Last week, I was invited to the Noon Kiwanis Club to present a Harmon Killebrew Hospice Day proclamation. The event featured Mrs. Killebrew, Nita, who was there, and they celebrated the usual celebration, the bus tour and what have you to the Twin Cities last weekend. And they asked me to present this proclamation, which I will give this evening. Harmon Killebrew Hospice Day. Whereas hospice and palliative care enable people to live life to its fullest, surrounded and supported by family, friends, and loved ones in spite of life-limiting illnesses. And whereas hospice brings patients and their families the highest quality of care delivered by a team of compassionate professionals who make the wishes of each patient and family a priority. And whereas through pain management, symptom control, caregiver training, and emotional and spiritual support, hospice allows patients to make each moment count until the end. And whereas each year hospice saves Medicare more than $2 billion by providing care to patients and comfort to families anywhere at any time. And whereas every year more than 1.5 million Americans living with life-limiting illnesses receive care from hospice programs in communities across the United States. And whereas annually more than 400,000 trained volunteers contribute 19 million hours of service to hospice programs. And whereas hospice encourages all people of all ages to learn more about the benefits of hospice care and to share their wishes with family, loved ones, and their health care professionals. And whereas the number one comment people make who have experienced hospice services say, "We wish we would have called hospice sooner." And whereas hospice is not about giving up, but rather living life to the fullest each day and every day. And whereas Harmon Killebrew Hospice Day was created to raise awareness about the benefits of hospice care in honor and memory of Harmon Killebrew, a dedicated hospice volunteer and advocate who passed away under the loving care of hospice in 2011. Now therefore, be it resolved by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Fergus Falls, Minnesota, I, Hal Leland, do hereby proclaim August 13th, 2016 as Harmon Killebrew Hospice Day and encourage citizens to increase their understanding of Hospice Awareness Initiative. In witness thereof, I date and authorize this on August 13th, 2016, signed Mayor Hal Leland, City of Fergus Falls. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The following are non-controversial items intended to be approved with one motion without discussion. If a council member, staff, or a member of the public would like to discuss an item or items, please ask that it be removed and it will be placed elsewhere on the agenda. Item 1, a resolution to set public hearing for public improvement 5297, the Cascade Street bike lanes for September 6th at 5:30 p.m. Item 2, motion directing the city attorney to draft an ordinance authorizing the city of Fergus Falls to opt out of the requirements of Minnesota statute 462.3593. Item 3, a resolution approving the submittal of an authorize the mayor and city administration to sign a grant agreement with the State of Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund to allow the state's identified city-authorized representative to sign the Conflict of Interest Disclosure Statement. Item 4, resolution declaring items as surplus equipment and authorizing their disposal. Item 5, resolution to direct the city attorney to amend City Code 6.23 regarding weeds. Item 6, resolution to direct the city attorney to amend City Code 6.22 F in the parentheses, abatement. 7, resolution authorizing the mayor and city administrator to sign a contract with Preferred Controls to replace the water plant filter controls for filters number 3 and number 4. Item 8, a resolution to certify miscellaneous invoices. Item 9, resolution to accept the Stantec proposal in the amount of $7,250 to conduct an environmental review and asbestos hazardous building materials survey for building number 30, the new power plant addition. I'd better restate that amount, $7,250. Sorry, Bill. Item 10, a resolution to approve partial release of public easement at 1320 Nicole Court. Item 11, resolution to authorize advertisement of bids and accept plans and specifications for public improvement 7182, the RTC Municipal Utility Project. Item 12, resolution to approve a quitclaim deed to correct a survey for the property adjacent to Ann Street. Item 13, resolution to approve change order number 1 for public improvement 5952, the 2016 street and parking lot improvement project. Item 14, motion to approve minutes from the August 1, 2016 City Council meeting. Item 15, motion to approve licenses, and you have a copy in your packet. Would someone Anthony?
I wonder if it's possible to remove items 5, the one regarding weeds, as well as the one on the minutes, item 14.
Item 5,
And I would make the motion to accept all the other ones.
and item 14,
Correct.
and we will place them immediately after we deal with your motion.
I'll second.
Resolution to approve.
I made the resolution as well.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second, Ron? Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Yes.
Speedo.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Appert.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Now, item 5, amend the city code 6.23.
I wondered if it's possible to, I mean, before this gets adopted, will we get a copy of what it reads in its entirety?
Yeah, what you're simply directing me to do tonight is to prepare a change to the ordinance, and that will be presented to you at a future meeting for your consideration on a first reading, and you can
Then we can
Look at it at that time.
add comment to it
Yep,
at that point.
yep.
Thank you, that's all I wanted on
Yeah,
that. was
if you'd like it to
clarification.
run through committee beforehand, we certainly can do that too.
Okay, that would be good.
Item 14,
I would like to, at the last meeting, under open forum, Ted Steinbach spoke, and I'd like these words included in the minutes, because he talked about the use of a firearm in an illegal manner. And he stated, all we ask is for a little enforcement. I would hate to have to get out there with a 12 gauge, because the last day I got my 12 gauge, I got a ticket from the city police for shooting a squirrel. And I thought it was safer than a 2.2. That is why I used a 12 gauge, but anyway. And I think it's most inappropriate for somebody that potentially is a city official to verbalize the use of firearms, particularly at the moment when tensions run high on the misuse of firearms. And I feel that they should be included in the minutes. Unless anybody's got any
are
objection.
you
to it.
making that a motion?
I would make that a motion to include his exact words in the minutes.
Is there a second?
I would second that, Your Honor.
Jim Fish? Any questions, comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now on item 5, a motion to approve.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Wayne, thank
And
you.
I'll second it.
Second, all right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Motion carried. Next item comes under ordinance and resolutions, and this evening we have a first reading of ordinance 47, 7 series, amending 7.45 to opt out of the requirements of Minnesota statutes, section 462 .3593. And would you comment on that, please? Or Gordon, do you want?
Again, this is something we have to do prior to early September. What it does is suggest that unless you opt out of this ordinance, it would go into effect. Again, that would be for the ability to have a temporary structure on a property with temporary water and sewer hookups for 6 months, and a chance to renew that for another 6 months. Again, as I mentioned at the committee meeting, over 60% of our town is either original plat neighborhoods or they are very tight old neighborhoods. I think this is really meant for county areas where you have chances to hook up to wells and septic systems. And then again, there are some privacy issues related to us having it to hold safe health records of people who are going to do this, and I don't think this is something we want to do.
I'll introduce that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jim. Item J, presentation of claims. This evening, $839,507.53. Address any comments or questions to Bill Sonmore? If not, I'll accept a resolution to approve.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Jim?
I'll second it.
Second. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Armisen.
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Spiegel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Effort.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes. Resolution is approved. Item K, Board, Committee, and Departmental Reports. Item 1, resolution to approve the Planning Commission recommendation to approve a conditional use permit for a duplex in an R1 zone located at 921 East Fir Avenue. And I'll ask Gordon to elucidate.
This is a situation where in the past a duplex has existed at this site. When recently brought to our attention, we suggested they come in and get a conditional use permit for a second unit. That's allowed with the proper amount of parking and the properly sized lot and a lot of a certain age. The Planning Commission, there was no one in attendance other than the owner of the property. The Planning Commission recommends that you approve this conditional use permit, and that the conditions of that permit be that an inspection of the house is to be made to make sure that there is a fire door installed between the two dwelling units, and the house would also need to be registered on the 2016 rental unit registration list.
How do you wish to respond?
I'll offer, Your Honor.
Scott?
I'll second it.
Anthony? Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Armisen.
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
Spiegel.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Effort.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Resolution is approved. Item 2, resolution to approve Planning Commission recommendation to approve a final replat of a parcel of land located at the Kirkbride addition in an R1 zone as requested by Campus Development Group, LLP.
Okay, you have a small copy of the plat on your desks. The yellow color is the road right-of-way, just to orient you to the plat. The blue is a stormwater solution for the site. It's 34 units. Engineering has reviewed this, and the recommendation of the Planning Commission is to approve this final replat.
Any questions, comments? Yes, Scott.
Just, Gordon, the lot west, coordinate with the lot west across the street, is that right? On Park Street, I'm sorry. Do they coordinate with the lot west across the street, or is it just a separate, completely different lot west?
Oh, this is on the east side of the RTC property.
Yeah,
North of the white colonial house and south of the property owned by the Veterans Home. And it's on the west side of Park Street. And the road itself does not sit across from any other road.
no, what I'm saying is the lots across the road on the east side of Park, are they 70-some feet wide, or are they 100 feet or 50 feet? Or?
Yeah, they are, I didn't look at that.
Okay.
But this subdivision's designed under R1 standards.
Okay.
And those are R1 across the street, so it could possibly have the minimum size.
That's what I was looking, I think it is right on the middle.
Yeah, it has to have at least a minimum size.
Okay.
Excuse me for that.
Okay.
Someone offer a resolution?
I'll offer
approving
that, Your
hearing?
Honor.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second, Your Honor.
Wayne? Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Armisen.
Yes.
Fergus.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Effort.
Yes.
Rachels.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Or a resolution is approved. Thank you. Item 3, resolution to enter into contract with Hoisington Kugler, is it? Group Incorporated for Downtown and Riverfront Master Planning Service, and we'll call on you again, Gordon.
Okay, we went through an extended process, starting with 44 individual firms, which consolidated into groups of 9, groups that totaled 9. Later reduced that to 5 and then to 3. And then this is the final selection of the 3. As I had pointed out to you in the beginning, I expected the cost of such a plan to be between $200,000 and $250,000. We had that range. This happened to be the lowest cost at $185,000. It wasn't the reason that this firm was selected. A lot of discussion took place. A lot of expectations were expressed by the group. And this is the one that they felt would most meet our needs. When you look at these types of groups, and you look at a lot of times they'll offer you a number of phases and a number of tasks, and we saw a range from a very low number of phases, low number of tasks, to one with very many of 64, matter of fact, tasks. And when you look at all 3 of these things, you find that they're all really going in the same direction. So the committee had a real good choice to pick between the 3 that were finalists, and this is the one they felt the most comfortable with. And I would recommend that you go ahead with this firm. I feel comfortable working with them as we prepare this master plan.
Questions, comments? Ron?
Gordon, can you update us on to the time frame? I think there was kind of an extension of.
Yeah, the contract itself says 18 months. It's possible we could finish it prior to that. They just wanted to make sure we were on the outside, especially as it related to is how we were going to raise the money to pay for the plan. And if you look at your recommendation there, you'll see that we're talking about for 2016, $50,000 from the EIC, the Economic Improvement Commission. They've approved that already. 2017 would be $75,000 from the Port Authority, and that's been proposed to the 2007. That would be proposed to the 2017 Tax Levy Committee, and then 2018 would be $60,000 again from the Port Authority. And we'll be able to finish that off within that 18 months. I'm guessing it would be more toward 15.
Bill, you had a comment?
Yes, when we're talking about the Port Authority, the Tax Levy Committee is looking at the proposal of increasing the Port Authority levy. Right now we're levying $75,000 for operations, so this would be levying on top of that. for that 75 and then the 60 the following year. So just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Someone offer a resolution?
I'll make that resolution.
Anthony? Thank you.
I'll second.
Rod? Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Burns.
Yes.
Speedo.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Pafford.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
The resolution is approved. Thank you, Gordon.
Thanks, Gordon.
There are no reports from staff, administrative offices. Under old business, we'll ask Andrew to update on annexation issues with Fergus Falls Township.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor, members of the council. At last Wednesday's committee meeting, Gordon Hajdukovic gave us a background and a history of the annexations within Fergus Falls Township and was very thorough and comprehensive in doing that. At the completion of that committee meeting, we asked for some direction from the council and were instructed to put this on the agenda tonight, so we've done that. We've spent the last few days at City Hall working to address some of the issues and questions that were raised by residents of Woodland Heights at the Fergus Falls Township meeting last month. And we're getting close to having those questions ready to distribute, but there's still some work that needs to be done on our end and some consultation with the city attorney before we can move forward with that. But tonight, we're looking for direction from the council as to how we want to proceed. I know some of you have talked about appointing a few members to begin discussions or further discussions with township officials, and we're looking for some direction tonight from the council as to how we want to proceed from this point in time.
Any comments? Yeah, Anthony?
So under the agreement that we have, I mean, what obligation does the township have to the city in terms of delivering Woodland Heights?
They have an obligation simply to not object to submission of a resolution to the Board of Municipal Planning. And, you know, I mean, so that would be their obligation contractually, at least that's my opinion.
Right.
And so, but the orderly annexation agreement ends, and it may make some sense to have a discussion with the township for the purpose of talking about the orderly annexation agreement, perhaps talking about extending it, perhaps talking about Woodland Heights coming in at this time, perhaps talking about other parcels coming in at this time. But it may make some sense to at least have a discussion with the township in that light to see if there is any common ground.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Wayne?
Question, historically, and I don't know if Ralph or Gordon, one of you can answer this or not, but how have those negotiations taken place in the past, given the fact that they've only got 3 members on their town board, and so they can't have a quorum, obviously, of, I mean, we can send 2 people, but they can't send 2, it could only be 1.
Yeah.
Is that how they've done it, or has it been, like, in the context, like when Scott and I went to the township meeting, has it been in the context of within their township meeting that those discussions have taken place, or was it done separately via some sort of subcommittee, or can you just, have you know that?
You know, but in this case, since you have 3 township board members, you would have to have 1 township official, you could have 2 council officials, and then the township board could, you know, bring maybe a planning official or a negotiating individual along with, and it wouldn't be a quorum for it.
Right, they'll have to figure out what they need to do in that regard. But I would envision there would be a couple city council members that you would appoint to have a discussion. It would include the city administrator, probably Gordon, and attorneys, since the parties are represented by attorneys at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Scott?
I'd like to see us decide on 2 of them and then meet. I don't have a problem with meeting with the whole board of the township. I mean, have a meeting and have the people come and visit, or just 1. It doesn't make any difference to me. If we did it that way, I'd like to see it on a neutral. They were all here. It was full. Our room was full here, and then we had that meeting out there when me and Wayne was there. That was pretty full there, and I think we should have it so everybody can fit in the room, so nobody gets left out standing outside. So that's my suggestion. I'd volunteer to do it again. And I talked to Rod, and he's done a lot of research on annexation. I'd like to, if it's okay, I'd like to see us do it. And with everybody else, of course. And just sit down and listen. So. But finding a place to have it is another thing. That's big enough, you know.
Yeah. Your Honor, I just want to make a couple comments about it because sometimes the issue gets characterized by certain questions that don't encompass the larger issue of a city or urban or rural, and I just wanted to make a couple comments on that. I would say that a good community as we know it ensures itself by goodwill, mutual trust, the common good, and a good community is a good local economy, and a local economy is a good regional strength. We depend on many of our essential needs on each other, and so community is really, in a sense, built from the inside. It's not built just by city boundaries. Most of us would agree that what comprises Fergus Falls doesn't necessarily comprise it because it has an artificial boundary. Fergus Falls is the area we live in, we work in, we share in, and we participate in. I think our common good together is about this common unity, and when we looked at in the plan, or when we looked in the Public Works at Oakport, I believe it is, yeah. There was a phased-in situation in Moorhead with Oakport, which was a very positive way of approaching the annexation. So I think some of the issues that have been raised have been raised in a black and white sense and shouldn't be raised that way. There's many things that can be negotiated, options can be phased in. But because our community is built on multiple layers of trust and mutually beneficial services, that creates livability for everyone that lives in close proximity to Fergus Falls, as I said, whether or not it is exactly within the boundary or not of the city limits. In real terms, that means shared police, fire protection, emergency services, roads, paved walk and bikeways. It means recreational facilities, libraries, health facilities, educational options, and don't forget jobs, places to work, spaces for the arts. It also includes civic organizations, the ability to have churches because there are people in the area willing to contribute, good restaurants, successful sports teams, attractive annual events. These are all more than just personal protection issues. They're about the larger enjoyment and quality of a community. They're an expression of mutuality, and they lead to a strong competitive regional economy that attracts people to live and work in that place, increasing the jobs and the wages and the opportunities for everyone. So I would say I think we agree that good communities are for the common good, and we are the ones that shape them, not someone else. It's a we, not a they. It's not a us, them. And therefore the hard part is really working to ensure what is the best future of what we decide will be our community. What is our community? The one we live in, I think it is. The one we work in. The one we share in, contribute to, enjoy, support, and I hope in good faith own. I think we have to work together hard for good community, but I believe it's possible, and I think that whether the annexation appears to be off on the right or wrong foot isn't the issue. The larger questions are what really is good community, and I think we need to explore those together.
How do you wish to do that? That's what we need to decide tonight. It's been suggested that we have probably, 5 people?
Well, I think what has been suggested is that there be a couple council representatives with members of staff, a couple members of staff, to approach Fergus Falls Township representative and whoever they may designate together with their attorney, and at least have a discussion, much along the lines of what Rod summed up very nicely, and have that perhaps set the tone moving forward, and see where there is common ground and see where there may be some discussions, and just report back to the council, and the council can take matters further from that point. But I think it's a good step forward.
Thank you. Can we have a resolution to that effect?
I think it's just a motion, and
a motion?
Designate 2 individuals off the council.
Your Honor, I'll offer that motion with Mr. Rachels and Mr. Speedall to be the council members, and then staff that you had talked about.
I would second that, Your Honor.
Wayne?
And I just have a question before we vote, if I could. Are we focusing primarily, is the intent on Woodland Heights right now, or is it on renegotiating the entire orderly annexation agreement?
I was just wondering, you know, if you guys are gonna go to their meeting, is it specifically about Woodland Heights right now?
I would just think that Woodland Heights, when we discussed it the last meeting, we just talked about Woodland Heights, but now as we talked about it, where with the agreement is that we could look at different places, and Gordon brought it up about there's a bunch of islands that are in the city limits that are still Fergus Falls Township, and I think that should come after. I think we should do it maybe stages, or start the process with Woodland Heights and then move on to that and look at it, and I'd like to see it happen, you know, like in the month of August, and then for the first meeting in August, September, we could sit down and talk as a council. Here's what they want, here's what we want to do, and then go from there.
Yep. I guess, you know, to follow that up, my thought is that it's important that we have an orderly annexation agreement with the township moving forward, and we don't want to let this expire and then just not have
Right.
anything at all, obviously. And that, you know, that may or may not, you know, depending upon what happens with Woodland Heights, the rest of it may, you know, be different than it is today. But I think it's important moving forward to have something in place. So I just want to make sure we don't lose that part of it by focusing on, you know, specifically on Woodland Heights.
Brian?
Yeah, and I know that you were not at the last Public Works meeting, but we did discuss that, and I think it's a both and, as we talked about, is that we have to do certain things in order now that we have an agreement to hammer out and work with, but we also have to look at all of the area, which we have, I believe, neglected, you know, for the last how many years, maybe a decade. But we need to look at all those things, but in order. So.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
We have a motion for two council members, staff, and our attorney move forward with discussions with Fergus Township officials and representatives. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Thank you.
Your Honor, would we have Andrew just communicate that with the town board? Is that probably the best way, or?
I'll let their attorney know.
Or,
Yeah.
Very good, thank you. Under new business, then we have a resolution that our city administrator outlined for us at the very beginning. Would you repeat that again for us, please?
Yes, we need an authorization, or we need a resolution authorizing the city administrator and the mayor to sign a notice to terminate the purchase agreement for the dairy property due to failure to satisfy the contingencies within this purchase agreement.
Would someone offer that?
I'll offer that.
Darren?
Yeah.
I'll second. Who seconded?
Jim.
Jim Fish? Any questions or comments further about it? Roll call, please.
Fish.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Fergus.
Yes.
Beal.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Pappert.
Yes.
Rachels.
Yes.
The resolution is approved.
Your Honor, I want to just make a clarifying comment too, that we're not, this is, just because we're canceling this, doesn't mean we're never going to address this again. I just want folks to know that this is not, you know, completely off the table necessarily, that we may at some point come back and look at this, because it is important as we develop our riverfront master plan. Things are going to, you know, come out of that. And so it may or may not come up in the future, but I don't want people to think that this is necessarily the end all be all. There may be something in the future.
Okay, thank you.
And I think we should state, since it's somewhere in the work session, you know, we should state that the LCCMR monies of $600,000 is a separate grant item and a separate arrangement from the purchase agreement that we are, at this point, not following because of the contingencies that haven't been satisfied. So we have time yet with that grant money, and also the approval for the trail, the bike trail master plan, which we are working on, and the North Country Trail, which will likely run somewhere along the river, as well as the master plan for the downtown development. All those three things come together and certainly are affected by this land area. So as you've said, Councilman Hurley, you know, we have to be cognizant of that there are many things impinging on this, and that, you know, this is a part of a larger picture, which we needed. So just so that's clear to everybody, those two things are separate. The purchase agreement doesn't kill the grant option.
Expanding on that.
Thank you. Any further comments? Some miscellaneous announcements. Tomorrow, Tuesday, August 16th, 5 PM, filing period for elected positions ends. Monday, August 29th, 6 PM, the library has an informational meeting in the Gene Dowling Meeting Room at the library, and I am assuming it involves the upcoming referendum and so on regarding the library. Wednesday, August 31 at 12 PM, we have the Finance, Personnel, and Development Committee meeting. Having no further business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.